What's up, golf addicts? David Barnett of the Tour Junkies. This over here is Pat Perry. He is also with the Tour Junkies for now. This is Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings. Well, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Presented by DraftKings. It's late at night, and we just recorded our own podcast. We've had some podcast juice. It was a good show. We've had some podcast juice. And we're ready.
Running low. The rosé is
Pat
running
switched
low.
to his rosé. He's got rosé wine glasses on his shirt.
Yeah, check those out.
Yeah, those are nice. Very nice. Yeah, we had a good show. Some disagreement on the show. Some agreement and disagreement on the show. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing for the people. You know, they get to hear a couple sides of the argument. But we're here for the Sony Open 2020 from Waialae Country Club in Honolulu, Hawaii. It is a full field event, unlike last week. You're going to have top 65 and ties are going to get through and play the weekend. So getting 6 of 6 in your DFS lineups is kind of a big deal. And yeah, it's an interesting golf course. It's a fun golf course. A lot of history here. Pat, why don't you give us what we need to know about the golf course before we get into a couple picks we disagree with and our DraftKings Sportsbook plays of the week.
Yeah, you're right. There is a lot of history on this course. They've played this course for a long, long time for the Sony Open. Waialae Country Club is a par 70 this week, playing just over 7,000 yards, so not very long. It's a good look. You know, we're on Hawaii, and it's an old classic course here.
We're on Hawaii. We're on top of Hawaii.
We're on top of Hawaii, old classic course. You got Bermuda grass from tee to green. Very small greens, by the way, and it typically runs really firm and fast out here on the fairways and on the greens. So that's something to look out for. Look, I think your bombers are probably going to have to dial it back a little off the tee. The rough is going to be interesting. I'd like to hear, you know, we're probably going to get
interesting rough, yeah.
Yeah, going to get some information later in the week and see how thick the rough is. Because, look, these fairways kind of run out a little bit. But I do think driving accuracy is important, but mainly from a standpoint of, you know, your approach to the green. Now, this is a second shot golf course. You got to hit these fairways in the right spot so that you can get yourself good angles into these greens. You know, give yourself a chance to score. I'm definitely looking those guys that putt well on Bermuda greens. Looking at scrambling a little bit because of the small greens. I think that you got to be able to get up and down, looking at proximity as well, just kind of as a stat, a little small stat to tell me guys that get it close on small greens and maybe have a better chance for birdie. It's not a very difficult course. I mean, again, it is. There's some tricks here on this course, but it's not very difficult. It typically plays very easy on tour. A lot of different types of players and styles of players can win here. I mean, you look at the past champs. You had Coots last year, Kazire, JT, Fabian Gomez, your boy, back in 2016. Jimmy Walker's won here a couple years. So really all different styles of players can win on this course. So I think you want to look at that. The guys that are in recent form. I'm a big fan of the young guns this week. You know, maybe even those that haven't played this course before. I think it's a course that they can play well on. So I'm looking at that as well. So we'll see. I'm excited though. Full field event. Ready to go. I feel like this is really the start of the tour season on DraftKings and the PGA Tour. So ready to go this week.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If you're playing DFS, like we said, 6 of 6 is a big deal. 15 of the last 21 winners here at the Sony Open have played Kapalua the week before at the Century Tournament of Champions. That's a key stat. You know, guys that come here in decent form, I don't even know how to say this phrase right now. Having shaken the rust off, maybe?
Yeah, there you go.
Having shaken the rust off the week before is kind of a big deal. We see that trend is kind of a real deal. So that's something to consider. The cut line traditionally been around 2 to 3 under. This is an easier course, but you know, one thing I don't think Pat mentioned, because I was kind of checked out there, I may be wrong, is that the wind is looking like it may, you know, kind of play a factor. Did you mention that?
Not at all.
Perfect. All right, so if you look at the last 5 years, the wind typically has averaged between 5 and maybe 15 miles an hour at the most here at Waialae. So a lot less windy conditions here at Waialae. However, this week, as of the recording of this, which is late Monday night, the wind looks to be a little more of a factor. That's going to be something you're going to want to pay attention to come lineup lock on Thursday. If the wind kicks up here, that is definitely something that you're going to want to look at. Guys who hit their ball flush, who hit it solid. But this is all about your second shot. This is about approaching these small greens, Bermuda greens, a lot smaller here in size than Kapalua last week, a lot less undulation. That's what it's all about, striking your golf ball well. It is one of the easiest courses on tour for the most part when the wind is not blowing like it has been the last 5 years. So we'll see how it goes. Pat, you have turned your hat around backwards, which is unusual for you. I'm going to ask you why, because this came up on the podcast. You want to play Justin Thomas on DraftKings. Now, JT is clearly a stud, and he is, bar none, the class of this field, okay? However, $12,000 on DraftKings with a salary cap of $50,000 is a rather high number, okay? 11.5 I would understand, 11.6 I would understand. 12,000 when you need to get 6 of 6 through the cut and you need some salary relief to get you 6 guys who have a high likelihood of getting, because if you get 6 of 6 through the cut with T65 and ties making the weekend, you are at an advantage. And JT taking up $12,000 of your salary cap space is a lot of money. Now, I know he won last week. I know he's won this event before. I know he has the single round record of 59 at this course. I know he has the tournament record at like minus 27 at this course. That's not a fake number. That's a real number. However, $12,000. You think JT is really worth $12,000 on DraftKings?
Imagine being the person that fades JT this week. Because you're not.
He's very handsome. Whoever he is very handsome.
Yeah, you can't do it. I think, look, Justin Thomas for me is going to be forget this week. I think this year is going to be the year of JT. He's just been in incredible form. We saw it at the President's Cup. We saw it last week with a win. He absolutely destroyed the field. If he really if you take away a few mistakes that he made, he would have just probably run away with that tournament last week. In a very good, obviously a very good field with all winners on tour from the year before. I don't see how you can fade JT. And I think you can definitely play him in tournaments. Now, I'm not playing him in cash, but I definitely think you can play him in tournaments. I think studs and duds is the way to go, especially in tournament lineups this week. And there's a lot of value down below as far as the pricing is in DraftKings. I mean, I could throw stats. He's first in ball striking, second in the strokes gained approach, checks the box and scrambling, proximity, all those kind of things, scoring, whatever you want to do. He's won here before. He's shot 59 here on this course. I mean, the guy's just been incredible. And so I think you can't fade him. And I feel like people are going to want to do that. They don't like to play champions from the week before. They don't think anybody's going to go back to back or do whatever. Or like last week, I like Xander to go back to back and as a Tournament of Champions winner, and he almost won. Really probably should have won. And I think it's the same way with JT this week. I think people are going to be off of him because he won the week before. There's going to be a little bit of an ownership advantage there, and I'm fine with it. If you drop him in first at $12,000, you immediately drop down to the $7,600 range. There is a lot of guys right there, even in below, that you can go to at $7,000, $6,900 right there, that then you're going to be able to go up into that $8,000 range, low 8,000, and get some guys there in your lineup. So I think that JT, I'm fine with him. I love him right there. I don't care that Webb's the next guy at 11-1, and I think Webb's just going to be, to me, I'm a Webb fader. Fading Webb.
You have to be a Webb fader if you're going to play JT at 12,000. Like, you're not going to have Webb in your lineups.
Hell no, not going to do it. So there you go. Now you're looking all over the place, and you're probably wondering
something just happened to my my system here.
Yeah, well, you're probably looking at trying to figure out why you're going to play Joaquin Niemann this week at 9,400. Because I had a little.
Are you serious? You are hammered.
Got
You're
a problem with it.
Freaking hammered.
Got a
what problem
with it.
do you have with it?
I'm gonna fade him. I'm gonna fade him. I think everybody on this earth wants to play some Niemann this week. They love him. He's the hot new guy. He's like the
he's
freaking
not new.
No, but everybody's loving him. Like he's like the Luke List of,
you're right.
DFS right now. Everybody loves him. But look, 109th in scrambling in the field. He is also 130th in driving accuracy. I think Niemann is going to terribly underperform this week at 9,400. Just not a big fan. I don't like him. And I know you're a big fan, but I'm going to fade him this week. Look, I know he's a great ball striker. Everything else, he had that beautiful, what was that stinger shot that he hit that you loved on Twitter this week? And
absolutely
that was pretty.
Sexual
that was
stinger.
Pretty, very pretty. But I think he's a pretty man that has an ugly finish this week. So there you go.
Well, he's a young Chilean.
I'm turning the hat back around backwards.
He's a young Chilean with bushy eyebrows and a sweet ass swing. Okay, he hits the ball extremely well. We talked about potentially Waialae playing more windy than ever this year. The stingers that he hit at Kapalua in 20 to 30 mile an hour wind,
they were a thing of beauty.
Were pure sex on the golf course. Okay. Niemann checks the box in strokes gained approach. He checks the box in greens and regulation. Is he a great putter? No, he's not that great a putter, but he's an incredible green and regulation guy. Like the guy missed 2 greens the first 2 days at Kapalua. At 9,400, like compared to the guys above him, I mean, it's an incredible value on Joaquin Niemann. I already mentioned 15 of the last 21 Sony winners have played Kapalua the week before. There's like 23 guys that have played that played last week that are playing this week, or 21, something like that. That includes like Jim Herman, Martin Trainer, like guys who have no freaking chance. But in that top 10, top 15 number is a guy named Joaquin Niemann. So I don't know how you fade Joaquin Niemann at 9,400. I don't care if he's chalk or not in tournaments. He is a full-on play for me in tournaments, regardless of ownership. I will make up my ownership leverage elsewhere. He's a full-on play for me in cash. I love him. Love him. Any other names you got for me right now?
Well, I have one that I thought you were going to bring up. I'm just waiting for you to bring him up.
Who's that? Noren?
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, it would be Alexander Noren. I mean, okay, Noren used to be a world-class player, but we've not really seen world-class play out of him in the last year to 18 months. He's $8,800 on DraftKings. He's never played this event before. I don't know. I don't really see it with Noren. He did play well at the RSM. That's the last time we saw him, I guess. I mean, that's the last event of the year, so I guess that's when we would see him. But I don't know. I don't like the $8,800 price tag. If he was like $8,100, I don't mind it. But I don't like the $8,800 price tag.
See, I think I think the price is maybe a little high, but I like playing him. I think this is a gut feel. And this is what I like to talk about with DraftKings or DFS or anything. Sometimes you just got to go with your gut. And the guy's been playing well. You look at his last 10 or 11 events. He's made 10 of his last 11 cuts. He putts well on Bermuda. As a matter of fact, he is top 25 in the field in putting on Bermuda greens. He's top 10 in the field in scrambling. It's kind of just a trending kind of deal that I don't, and we've seen him like 2 years ago. He played incredibly well on the West Coast. And I think this is just a gut feel for me that I think Alex Noren is going to have a good week this week. He's not going to check a ton of boxes when it comes to stats and things like that. He's certainly going to be low owned because nobody's going to play him. He was like 5% at the RSM Classic, and he finished top 10 there, which was his last tournament just a month or two ago. So I like Alex Noren at 8,800. I think he could be a good sort of low-end GPP play. You could play him in a tournament lineup or two, and I think he's going to do well for you. And so there you go. Outside of that, I didn't have other players. The only other one I had was Ches Reavie that we talked about a lot, and it was because we had a listener that he checks the box in stats and course history and all that kind of stuff. They brought up his change in his irons and his clubs that he's playing, and that is PXG. So the whole PXG factor with Ches Reavie, which I thought was actually an interesting take. I don't know if that's going to be a huge factor for him. I like Ches Reavie this week. I still think this is a good course for him, and we'll see. The last week is a totally different course. If you are looking at Ches Reavie at Kapalua versus Waialae, it's apples and oranges. It's totally different. It doesn't matter. And so I think he fits way better for this course. So we'll see. But there's a whole PXG factor there. So.
All right, what about DK's?
No ads. Sorry, I'm giving PXG ads, I guess. I don't care, whatever.
What about DK Sportsbook? I've got a number of picks here, and I've got some top 10s and top 5s I want to throw at you, Pat, because here's the thing. We saw Patton Kizzire win this event a couple years ago at 80-1. We saw Fabian Gomez win this event at 100-1 when yours truly picked him 4 years ago. 4 years ago. It can happen. It can definitely happen. However, I'm going to give you some long shots. I'm sure you'll have some short kind of pansy plays that you'll want to give to people. So let me start out with my outright winners first. All right. I'm going to start at Joaquin Niemann, who I've already talked about, 35-1 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Love that. Already proven he's a PGA Tour winner. Great performance at Kapalua. Gain strokes all the way around at Kapalua last week. Love him in the wind. If it picks up, love it. He's confident. Let's go. Corey Connors at 45-1, the Canadian, who ball strikes the piss out of it. Absolutely stud of a player. Love him at 45-1. Brennan Todd is at 60-1 on DraftKings. I've seen him much shorter on other websites, so I think 60-1 is a great value on DraftKings Sportsbook. We saw him win twice over the fall swing. Very accurate. Good ball striker there at Brennan Todd. Russell Knox at 70-1. Incredible history here. Plays great in the wind. Another good ball striker. Love Russell Knox at 70-1. And finally, Xinjun Zhang at 175-1. He's a web.com grad, but he's actually a Wiley veteran. And he's another good ball striker. So I think Xinjun Zhang at 125-1 is interesting. Finally, I'm going to give you Xinjun Zhang at 28-1 as a top 5 bet. And then I'm going to give you Mark Hubbard at a top 5, 40-1. He almost won the Houston Open in October, lost at Delanto Griffin on the 72nd hole. He's a 40-1 for a top 5. And then a top 10 bet that I like at 33-1 is Tyler McCumber. Now, he's a web.com grad, excellent putter, decent ball striker. Listen, these Bermuda greens are not tough to figure out. If you can hit them, then you can make some putts. If Tyler McCumber can hit these greens, he's a great putter. Let the putter take over at 33-1 for a top 10. I think that's a decent bet. So those are my bets on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Wow, I love the Tyler McCumber bet at 33.
Oh, you like that, huh?
He was one that was...
You're a big fan of his dad, I know.
Well, I think he's a fantastic player. We met him at a web.com event last year sometime, and I think he's a great player. And I think his odds were like 400, 450-1, something like that to win the tournament. But at 33-1 in that top 10, I think is a way better bet to make. So I do like that. For me, here's the thing: you're gonna look. I don't like him to play in my DraftKings lineups and my GPPs and whatever else. But Niemann at 35-1, actually, I think if you're not gonna
look at you.
Here's the thing: if you're not not gonna play
two-time and son of a gun.
If you're not gonna play a guy in your DraftKings, your DFS lineups, hey, throw a bet on him. I don't like him in DFS, but you know what? If he fails me there, which he's probably going to, but somehow he lucks out and does win it, I'm going to go with some Niemann at 35-1. Another guy we have not mentioned, Cam Smith at 60-1. I like that bet. Look, he's made 4 straight cuts. He was 3rd at the CJ Cup. He was 13th at the Shriners just in this past fall. He's actually been playing pretty well. So I like Cam Smith at 60-1. I think those are pretty good odds there. I had Brendan Todd written down, so I'm good with that with you. You mentioned Brendan Todd. Also, Emiliano Grillo at 100-1. I just can't. It's like a guy I can't quit. Can't quit it. 100-1. I like
you love
that.
some Grillo. The guy can't putt worth a crap.
On a long shot, our boy Hank Lebioda had a 3rd place finish in the fall. 225-1. I think this is a good course fit for him, so I like some Hank Lebioda at 225-1. So there you go. Those are my bets.
Fantastic. Check out the Tour Junkies podcast. Pat read rap lyrics this week. He read a song from Bubba Sparks, and it was fantastic. It was very funny, very humorous. We disagree and we agree on a few guys that we did not mention this week on the Tour Junkies After Dark, but we're excited. It's a great season. It's a great time to get into PGA Tour. The NFL's winding down. The NBA's boring AF right now. Let's just do this. Let's get into the PGA Tour. Come on, jump on in with us. The water is warm, okay? Just get on in. All right? May your screens be green. Have a great week. See ya!
Out!